Okay, Jim Bottomley. One of the supervisors I was blessed to work with and learn from. Uh, Born in Illinois, but raised in um, Emlenton,
Yep.
Pennsylvania. Is that you
Yep.
said? Okay. Um, Now a production superintendent at Jet Polymer Recycle, living in Langston, Alabama. And he's got the shirt on already. Big Bama fan in that guy. Held jobs, on a couple different occasions as an equipment operator. Moved on to Gibson Barbecue. Went from a cook to assistant manager, and then ended up, covering 3 different stores as an area manager type of guy. And the next one is really cool. Georgia State Penitentiary, the
Yep.
level 6 max security prison on death row. So like managing that scenario. And for me, like, way back in the day, maybe a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, that was the attention getter for me on your resume, by the way.
Oh, really?
That was the eye popper. I was like, oh, there's got to be a good story there. And I think I asked it, but we'll get into that further here in a bit. But on to Kohler Company for 24 years, machine operator, die changer, crew leader, to production supervisor, maintenance manager, and then an area production supervisor role. Then on to KDP, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and now at Jet Polymer. Hobbies are golf, karaoke, and I need to figure out how I can get a ticket to one of those. So, just let me know where I can go see that in action one day. Side hustles, just helping folks around the campgrounds. You're a RVer.
Yes.
You do the RV thing, and want to jump into that more too. But a bit of your background. We'll cut over to memories. So I got four folks of memories. First one was Whitney McCoy. Jimbo's magic power is his ability to build a connection with the people that he's leading. And there's a theme throughout all of the memories from these folks on that. He is very much in the trenches type of servant leader and was adored by his peers and employees. He's a realist, and I appreciate his honesty and problem-solving skills when we work together. He's the type of leader you can count on to get the job done, and I 100% agree with that. Next one, Denise Osborne. The first thing that I can think about is the relationships he built with his employees. All right, so the theme continues. He made it his mission to select the most challenging employees and change their perception about the mission, about leadership, showing them that they're valued and they can trust the intentions. Personally, cooking entire meals for his entire team, having one-on-one meetings that made them feel appreciated. His efforts made great strides in changing the culture on every ship that he touched. He was also a loyal Alabama fan.
Roll Tide.
Probably the biggest one that she's ever met. So next one, and the last two are peers. So folks you work side by side with across shifts. The across shifts dynamic is definitely a special one, because when you can do that well, it is so powerful. So here's the first one. And the guest that just released recently was Rebecca Riordan. Anytime I ever needed help, Jimbo was the first person I would go to. And he always went above and beyond to make sure that I was okay, or that anyone on his team was taken care of. Many days I would come back to work just a little bit early so I could sit in his office and shoot the breeze. I genuinely missed the life and work conversations that I would have with Jimbo. He was always full of wisdom and wit. Jimbo was one of those guys that can give you the feedback or constructive criticism, and it comes from a place of care. He cares about his team. He builds rapport with everyone, and he wants to see everyone succeed. Last one from her. He was a great mentor um, and can be easily bribed with a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Very true. Very true.
One of my favorites as well. So last one, Richard Clark. So Richard Clark was in our business at the time for a long time, and he was one of those guys that kind of came up the ranks just like you did, and many other professions that you had before that. And y'all connected really well.
Yeah, we hit off real good the first day.
Nice. Yeah, it's that shared thing, right? He said, ask you about how you like this dog.
That dog is the devil.
Devil dog.
I hate that dog. That dog me up and down. This is no lie. Before he moved to Florida, I went over to his house and he had a brick wall about 4 foot tall from his patio to his yard. And I would step on the other side, and that little dog would run around and nip at my legs to get me to go to the other side, and back and forth, back and forth. Would not leave me alone. I hate that dog. And wasn't probably
So
about.
you think that dog senses evil, or
I,
what?
no, I
Or
think
no?
that dog's crazy like Richard Clark.
Okay, all right. So yeah, not all dogs are built the same. So he also said Jimbo was always on the floor and connecting with his people. He was a firm but fair guy. Like his people already knew when they crossed that line, um, you know, and you did what you had to do. Passionate with his folks. He was the only one that would go out of his way to get less sleep and barbecue for his people.
Yep. You have to reward people. Everything that they do, even if it's something small, you've got to show that little reward and that respect to them to earn the respect. And when you get that, they have the utmost confidence that you're going to back them as long as they're right, and they know darn well that if they're wrong, you're gonna discipline. Uh, it's the same thing I do here, and it's any production field. I've never worked in recycling before. I never worked in the bottling company before until I came to work for you. Production's production. It's all about numbers. It's about making the product for the customer. But to succeed, the best thing to do is know your people. If you know your people, you can get them to work for you and do anything you need done in that plant as long as you know how they are. You got to know how they tick. You got bad apples, you got good apples. You've got people that some people in the world would call they're thugs. But you know what? I can relate to them and get in their head to where I understand where they come from and I know how to approach them. And that's how you become one-on-one and you get people to work for you. I did the same thing here. I work with a bunch of foreigners. There's Mexicans and Guatemalans. They don't speak very much English. I don't speak no Spanish, but yet I've turned second shift from a production of just in our grind department, for instance, they were doing 500,000 pounds a month. Second shift is grinding over 1.6 million pounds a month now. We have tripled the production in the whole plant in 1 year. And it's all about knowing how your people tick. You get inside of them and know what they need and what they do, and you can make superstars out of everybody.
Yeah, this is where I, turn it over to you and tell us the story, Bama man.
All right. Well, I guess I can give you the lifelong from young to now.
Yeah, the young part's important. So
Yeah.
tell
So
us.
so I was born in Morris, Illinois, just about 60 miles east of Chicago. Uh, Stayed there till I was 7 years old. My parents got divorced, and my mom moved us off to a couple of different states. I went to Missouri Valley, Iowa for a little bit, and we landed in a little small town called Emlenton, Pennsylvania, which is about 80 miles east of Pittsburgh. Uh, Grew up there from the sixth grade all the way up to graduation. Uh, Rough childhood.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes it's tough to talk about, but yeah. So many nights trying to find a place to sleep. My stepfather was very abusive. Uh, Sleep down at the creek, sleep in a drainage ditch. Just it was real rough, real life learning experience. I'll tell you that. It helps you grow up. When I turned 12, I got told that all he had to do was provide me a place to sleep and food. If I wanted clothes, I had to figure out how to get them. If I wanted shoes, so I went to work. Uh, I had 3 jobs when I was 12 years old, and maintained the city sidewalks of Emmleton in the wintertime. Maintained the grounds at the park. You know, they being a kid, they paid you a little bit. Plus, I had 2 paper routes. And, you know, just anything I could do to make a buck because I had to put clothes on me.
Yeah.
So
That's probably a first for me in all these episodes. So it's
so
unique.
so I did play football when I was in high school, and I had to any extracurricular activity I had to support that myself. But I was a 320-pound boy when I was in high school, and football coach, my junior year, he like, come on, let's play, and I didn't want to play because I didn't have the money. Told me, he said, I need someone your size to be a line. So I ended up playing. I was offensive right guard. I was 320 pounds. Our center was about 310, and the left guard was about 290, 300 pounds. So our quarterback had about 1,000 pounds protecting him. Never got sacked. Never got sacked at all. And so 4 years of high school football, and of course, being that big, it was, you're not going to go nowhere in life. I was told my entire life that you will never be nothing. So when people tell you that, that makes most people work harder. So my main goal in life was to prove this person totally wrong, and I was going to be something. So I graduated high school May 5th, 1985. May 6th, 1985, I had my suitcase packed and walking out the door. Nowhere to go. But I was leaving. So I went to a little town called Erie. Well, it's not little, Erie, Pennsylvania. I went to work at a Presbyterian church camp as an equipment operator. I worked there for maybe about a year. And 1987, January, February, I moved to Alabama. My sister lived here, and she said, there's plenty of jobs. My brother-in-law was in the military, so he was stationed at Redstone Arsenal. So I loaded up my truck, headed to Alabama, went to work as an equipment operator at UAH, University of Huntsville in Alabama. Worked there for a little bit, met my first wife. You know, it was love at first sight. We got married, we had a little girl. I think I was just turning just about 22 after Samantha was born, and I had a stroke. And the doctor gave me 2 options: lose weight or die. So Samantha was probably a month, maybe 2 months old, and I said, she's not going without a dad. So I went on this massive diet. It was a low fat diet, no more than 10 grams of fat a day. Walked, exercised, and dropped down to 165 pounds in 6 months. And luckily, I've been able to maintain all but about 15 pounds of that at the age of 6.
Would you say that was more diet related or exercise related?
More exercise, I think.
Okay.
I, I I would get out and I would. Yeah, at first, it was tough because I was riding a tractor all day. You know, you don't get no much exercise. But I would take my lunch break at UAH and I'd walk the track. And then walking led to jogging led to running. And then I started going to a fitness place and doing treadmill and stuff like that. So, but when you get put with those two, live or die, it makes you think.
Sure.
So yeah, I did that, and then I had another little daughter 5 years later, and when she was 9 months old, I came home from work one day, and my first wife said, "I'm done." Uh, she went on with somebody else. I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, we'll go to court," and I said, I'm not gonna give up my kids without a fight." She said, "No, you can have them. Take them with you. I got more important things to do." So here I am with a 5-year old and a 9 month old, and I ain't never changed the first diaper. I had no clue what to do, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
Joni, 9 months old, messed her diaper, and I was living in a 2 bedroom apartment in Madison. There was a single female that lived up above us. She was probably in her 40s. And I carried my daughter upstairs like this, and I knocked on her door. And she said, "What can I do?" I said, "I don't know what to do. She's messed her diaper. Help me." So,
It's funny. 5 and 9. That's
yeah,
the exact same ages that my two girls are right
really.
now. I'd probably done the same thing. So
Yeah. So she showed me how to change the diaper, and I'm like, "I got this. I can do this. No problem. No problem." So got her uh, got her squared away, and then I realized I've got to make a whole lot of money. I've got the 2 kids, but now I got to pay a babysitter, and I got to support these kids. So Kohler was hiring. I went to work.
and Kohler is big, like farm machinery type of manufacturing, right? Like
No,
heavy industrial, right?
Kohler is Kohler is a bathtub manufacturer.
Bathtub. Okay.
Yeah. So they also have they are a nationwide company. Uh,
Yeah.
the plant in Madison, Alabama, was a fiberglass plant. We made bathtub sinks, shower stalls, just stuff like bathroom fixtures. But I went in there I went in for an interview, and the gentleman that interviewed me, we got done with the interview, and he looked me dead in the face and he said, "I'm not going to hire you." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, you don't have any experience." I said, "I didn't have no experience being a dad, but I'm a dad. I didn't have no experience at being a cook and a manager at Gibson's Barbecue, but I did it." I said, "Give me a shot." He said, "I'm not going to hire you. We're done." It's okay. So I walked out. I was feeling kind of, man, my life is over. I don't know what to do. I got these 2 little girls. So I waited about a week, and I called HR at Kohler, and I said, "Is there anybody I can talk to? Anybody whatsoever?" I said, "I applied. You won't give me a chance." I said, "Let me come in and talk to somebody." So I went in and talked to an area supervisor. His name is Wendell Wilbanks, and he's my golfing partner now. Him and I, he had been at Kohler. He retired at Kohler when he was 62, and he started there when he was 17 years old. But I went in and interviewed with Wendell, and he said pretty much the same thing. He said, "Man," he said, "we just you have no manufacturing experience." And I said, "Well, let me make you an offer." I said, "You guys pay well, and that's what I need." I said, "But give me a month. Let me prove myself. If
Boom.
in,
ShamWow.
if in a month that you think I'm still not the person you need, I will walk out of those doors, no questions asked. It's my fault." So he went to the HR lady, and the HR lady's like, "We never had no offer like this before." I said, "Give me a chance. I'm telling you, 1 month, and I will prove you wrong."
Yeah. I love that stuff. Like, give me a chance. Let me prove it.
Yep.
And if I don't perform, cut ties.
Yeah.
We'll go separate ways.
So 24 years later, I early retired. So, so,
Yeah,
you know,
that's your long stint
yeah,
thing is Kohler. So
yeah. And
that's pretty
the
awesome.
only reason I early retired is, I built the maintenance department up to a PM program. They had no PM program whatsoever. I got us to where we were just 95% PM complete throughout the years. Then when I went into the production area manager, you know, 2 million man hours, safe man hours, nobody hurt, no injuries, no nothing. The strive to keep people motivated and work. And then Herb Kohler, the owner of the company, retired. And when he did that, he gave that company to his son and daughter, which is logical. Give it to family. The bad thing was is they brought in a,
Consultant.
well, not a consultant, but they hired a VP over plastics that had never really dealt with plastics before. So he and I didn't get along real well, not well at all.
Maybe he was in the same boat. Like
He,
maybe he had that same thing. Like, hey, if I don't prove myself in a month,
right, right.
maybe
Well,
you never know.
yeah. So when we'd have a machine go down, he would tell maintenance, just leave it down and move that product somewhere else and keep on running. And I'm like, but I built this. This is my house. I built this, and you're going to turn it backwards. You're going back in time. The idea is to go forward. So it just went on and on. And I told my wife, I said, one day I'm going to walk in there and I'm just going to early retire. I said, because I've had it. Well, the final straw was I was in the HR office talking to the lady about discipline forms for an individual. And he walks right in front of me, interrupts our conversation, talks to the HR lady, and then walks back in front of me. Doesn't say excuse me, nothing. And respect is a big thing with me. Do not disrespect. So
Damn
on my
well.
on my way home that night, I called my wife and I was talking to her and I said, me and him's gonna have a talk. She said, just let it go. I said, I can't let it go. I've already sent him an email and said me and him's gonna have a talk. I said, so it is what it is. So that next day we had a discussion and I told him, I said, I don't know where you were raised and I don't know where you're from, what your back life is like. But respect goes a long way in the world. Please do not ever disrespect me again like you did yesterday by walking in front of me and not saying, excuse me, can I talk to her for a minute? Nothing. You just butt in and do what you want to do. And I said, that's not going to fly with me. We are never going to be eye to eye if you continuously think that you're better than anybody in this plant, because you're not. You're no different than I am. You might have a bigger title, but we're human.
Yep.
And respect is what you have to deliver respect. And if you want my respect, you got to give it. So probably about a month later, I told Denise, I said, I'm just going in. I said, today's the day. And I went in there and I said, I want my early out papers. Let's get everything down on the table and I'm calling it quits. So that was that. And then
Then
after
what
that,
happened?
well, after I did the early out, I kind of putzed around at the campground for a little bit. And I told Denise, I said, I am never getting back into production ever again. I'm done with production. Done with it. Well, I got offered a job at Tennessee, in Manchester, Tennessee, as a site manager for a Nissan plant. And so I went over there, and I wasn't even there. I was there a year, just a little over a year, and fumbling through Indeed, and I see this Dr. Pepper. And to be honest with you, I did not know. I wasn't even looking at the location. I just saw Dr. Pepper, and I said, what about some bottling? Maybe we'll try bottling. So I applied. I got the phone call for an interview, and I think you had me scared to death when I was going to have to interview with your boss because you
Yeah.
told me
It's a
you have to,
multiple level type of deal.
yeah,
So,
you have to peel him back like an onion is what you were saying. And I was like, this guy's going to be mean.
well, for people that I think that I want really well, I want this person. I'm going to
Hmm.
prepare you to
So,
sell yourself well.
but it actually went well. All the interviews went well, and I ended up down there with you, or up there, I should say, in Kentucky with y'all. And I had a good time there. It was fun. But uh, in 21, my oldest daughter passed away,
I remember the phone call.
and so I needed to be back in Alabama with my kids. And but I have told Denise several times because she loved her job at Louisville Police Department. I said if Samantha was still alive, I'd still be at Dr. Pepper. It was a fun place to work. Great, great people to work with. I said Tony was a great guy to work for. And I said, but life happens. It really does.
Sure.
So I needed to be back here in Alabama with the three girls and get our family back on track. So we did that. We came back here and then uh, ended up at Jet Polymer, and this place was nothing. Really wasn't nothing. And I don't say that I had everything to do with it, but they have a lot of young leadership here, and so they call me old man is what they call me here because they're all in their 20s and 30s. They're like, "Hey, old man, what do we need to do here? Hey, old man, come and help us with this." And
There's something about using your experience to help others that's just extremely valuable. I mean,
yeah,
that's why I bounced ideas off you all the time. I saw it.
yeah. Well, I tell you, it's a small company. We just got bought out by uh, Advanced Drainage Systems, and it's becoming a bigger company. But it's real low key. It's low key, but I don't know if it's what I want. If that makes any sense.
Well, it
Uh,
definitely does.
you know.
I'm remembering the documentary now. Urban Meyer,
Okay.
head coach that came in and took over the Florida Gators, and how he did that. Watching that, just so many things resonated with me, and
Hmm.
sometimes low key's okay. Um, at the end of the whole thing, he's kind of like he's so caught up in winning with the
Right.
winning team, and at one point he's just like, yeah, it's starting to be bad for me.
Right.
Um, but don't discount the low key. That's all I'm saying.
Right. 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 And it's our plant manager. She's younger than you, and you're a lot younger than me. But our plant manager's 30 years old. It's a female. First time I ever worked for a female, but she's got her head on straight.
Awesome.
She got thrown into the job. In all reality, she went out on maternity leave, and then when she came back, the plant manager that was here went and opened up his own business while she was on maternity leave. And corporate was like, "It's all yours. Figure it out." And she's done a good job. She's done a good job. She confides in me a lot, which makes me happy.
Good.
She's
Sounds
anytime
like you said, she's got her head on straight.
yep.
So
But when they have major disciplines, they won't do it without the old man. They always wait until I'm here
yeah,
because make sure that all everything is done correctly. I guess is what she would say
damn
in
well.
experience. So which makes me feel good. But it's never ending rest. Your phone's ringing all the time. But it's rewarding. When you come in and buddy in the plant, Jimbo, hey Jimbo. so so it's good. It's good. It really is good.
Awesome.
So
Good stuff. Anything else on the story before I
no,
pull
I
some questions?
believe that's it.
All right, here we go. Let's see. From the memories, all spoke of you well on like how you took care of your people, Uh, what do you remember of that time when you were taking care of your people in that
So
scenario based off the memories?
yeah, so you know, I guess a lot of people would look at that as I'm trying to bribe. Hey, if we do a good job, he'll cook for us, and but if he's not here, we don't have to do a good job. I don't do it as a bribe. I do it as a reward because this it comes out of my pocket. You got organizations and people that have
Yeah, I
company,
remember telling you like, hey, you don't have to do that on your own. Like, use
but
your company card.
I want people to know it's from me. This is me saying thank you for everything you do to make this company good and make me shine. Because without you, I can't be me.
Yeah,
And so, you know, it they don't they know real well. They look at the numbers just like here every month. And they know that if their numbers are lower than what the expectation is, they're not going to get the free meal. That's just point blank. And so they strive. They'll ask me every day, what did first shift do? Because we want to be better. We want to carry that championship belt that says best production. We've got a wrestling belt it looks like the championship wrestling belt, and
yeah.
it says,
Totems.
yeah. And so they like getting their picture made with it and on the big screen TV in the break room. Hey, that's us. We did it. And so I think that given a little reward makes goes a long way because it makes people feel like they're appreciated. And then the other thing you have to do at the end of the day, and I walk this floor hours upon hours every day, but I always make sure at the end of the shift to walk through and touch every single person and tell them thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate
Thank
what
you
you
for
did.
coming to work today.
Yeah. And so, the first time you do it when you come into a new plant, they're like, thank you for what? Thank you for what you did. You helped us be successful today. And I appreciate it. And then if you get someone that's had a bad day, so well, I don't know why you're thanking me. I had a horrible day. I said, but you did the best you could with what you had to do with. So thank you. And so it they get so used to hearing thank you that if you don't do it one day, you get called out on it.
Yep.
Uh, I had to leave early one Friday, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and each one of my departments has my personal phone number in case they need something. And I'm in a group text with each department individually. Well, I had this one department, the grind department, and all of a sudden on my way home, I'm getting these texts from this group that says, we must not have did good today. Jimbo didn't come say thank you. And I'm like, holy crap. Did I miss everybody? And then all of a sudden the next group, yeah, we were horrible today. I mean, he didn't come and talk to us. Well, I had a call and I had to leave. So I pulled the truck over and I got on each group and I told them, I said, look, guys, you did a wonderful job as always. I had to leave because I had an emergency at home. I appreciate everything you did. And they were like, oh, okay, thanks. They want to hear it. It makes them want to come to work because they feel like they're respected and treated fairly. So,
Gotcha. Good stuff. Something that Denise mentioned, Osborne, was, on turning around some of the most challenging employees. Any standouts for you? And you don't have to mention names, but like this
yeah.
person.
So there was one or two at Dr. Pepper. Uh, we we had a wild child. And this wild child did end up getting terminated later on, but it was a it was a big challenge with her. Uh,
I know exactly who you're talking about already.
yeah, it was a big
We actually
challenge.
lost an HR manager for that
Yeah, yeah,
person.
we did. But you know what? When when she found out that I was quitting at Dr. Pepper, and the last day I worked, She drove up to the plant, and Andre came to me and he said, "Hey, she's outside. She wants to talk to you." Why? So I go out there, and she told me, she said, "I just wanted to tell you thank you for helping me change my life." I'm like, "How did I help you change your life?" "All I did was try to guide you in the direction that we needed you to be here to make our product." She told me, she said, "I gave up the drugs, I gave up the alcohol, and I focused on my family like you focus on yours." She said, "I wanted to be a better person, and it took you being an asshole to me to make me that better person, and I just wanted to thank you." So, that was a big turn, and I still keep in touch with her periodically. She'll send me a text, and I check up to make sure she's still holding her own, and she
Still
is.
kicking.
Yep. So yeah, that was, again, it's getting to know your people. You get to know your people, you can be very successful. You know, production's production. I firmly believe that I could go to any production plant, something I've never done before. I can learn your process. That is the easiest thing in the world. The toughest thing in the world is learning your people. You learn your people, they will teach you what you need to know to learn the process. That's why when I came to work for you guys at Dr. Pepper, I told Richard, I said, "I don't care about no darn paperwork. I want to be on the line. I want to learn the process. I'm going to work in every section of this bottling line until I know it."
Does your current employer use Workday?
They do not.
Nice.
They do
I won't
not.
even apply to a job that has a Workday application.
I am so glad that they don't use.
All right. So you're a diehard Alabama fan.
Yep.
How'd that come about to
Well,
fruition? Was there an inspiration there?
yes and no. So when I first moved to Alabama, I was actually a Penn State Nittany Lion fan because that
All
was my
right.
home.
Yeah.
Now,
Linebacker
yep,
Central back in the day.
yep. So we played Alabama. We had a contract with Alabama for 10 years to play them once a year, and that contract ended, I believe, probably that first year, that first maybe second year that I lived in Alabama. But my first father-in-law, diehard Alabama fan, and he and I would go back and forth constantly, back and forth about Penn State and Alabama when they're going to play. And really, the camaraderie of Alabama fans, especially SEC football, uh,
No
it
better
really,
conference.
right,
Yep.
and the close knit. You could go anywhere. You walk in Walmart in Alabama, and you got an Alabama shirt on. They don't say, "Hey, how you doing?" They say, "Roll Tide." That's how we say hello down here, is Roll Tide. So, but just the respect that you get from other people because of who you root for in college football is just amazing. So I started following Alabama football, I would say, in 1987, and really just dug into it. But I didn't dig real deep until probably late 90s. And now that Nick Saban is there, great coach. But
Awesome. One
Nick
of the best, probably the best in all pro college.
but Nick Saban's quotes, if you ever go online and pull up famous quotes by Nick Saban, they are so life learning. And I watched his story uh, on CNN about him when he was a kid and growing up. And he is just an all around great human being. And so I go a lot by of a lot of his sayings that he puts out, his quotes, and I them with people a lot. It's like, you know,
Your
this,
superpower.
yeah, it's like discipline. People are always like, it doesn't bother you to discipline somebody. No, it doesn't if they do wrong. But discipline is not mean. Discipline is a culture change. I'm trying to change the culture of this plant. And if you have to do it by discipline to get everybody on the right track, then that's what you do. But at the end of the whole era, you've got a group of hardworking, respectful individuals that will do their job, and it makes your job easier, and you don't have to babysit for 12 hours. And so, it's tough when you come into a new place and you start throwing that paper around because, oh, this guy, all he wants to do is write you up. No, it's not what I want to do. It's what I have to do. What I want to do is change the culture of this plant to where everybody is equal, has fun, and we make good product for our customers so we can continue working here and making a paycheck.
Awesome. Good stuff. We didn't, so you kind of skipped over in your story the Georgia State Penitentiary part. So tell me more about death row.
All right. So I'll tell you initially. So I went to work I was at Kohler in 1996. Well, after 1 year of being at Kohler, I begged and pleaded to get that job, but I was having trouble with my ex-wife. So I had some friends in Georgia. I said, I'm going to move to Georgia. And I actually started running when I got there. I ran McDonald's restaurants. I had 3 McDonald's restaurants that I ran for just a little bit. And a guy at church came up to me and said, "Hey, we're hiring at the prison. Would you be interested in coming to work there?" And I'm like, "Man, you're crazy. There's no way." I said, "I got 2 kids I got to take care of." And then by then I was remarried again. I had 2 stepsons. And I said, "I got a family." And I said, he said, "I'll tell you what, just fill out the application. Let's see what happens." So I filled out the application. I went to work there. And do you remember the movie with Burt Reynolds called The Longest Yard?
Oh, yeah.
That movie was filmed at the prison I worked at.
Adam Sandler in that?
Yeah. Well, Adam Sandler was in the
Okay,
remake.
I was thinking Nelly and Adam
Yeah.
Sandler.
But
So
Burt Reynolds was the original one. But so anyway, I went to work there, and I tell you what, I think that place taught me more about respect than anything in the world. These are human beings that have made a mistake and got caught. But how many human beings are out there in this world that haven't got caught? They made a mistake. It happens. But when I first started, I worked in the tower, and someone's just running, escaping, you shoot to kill. There's no wound. This prison had no escapees, and
I got to ask, what kind of gun?
so I had an M16.
M16. Okay.
Yeah. And we had to be trained efficiently on this M16. He didn't want anybody that was below a 90% up in that tower. So we went to the
Yeah, I
range.
mean, you can't mess that one up.
Right. So, but
Should the circumstances require it, right?
Exactly.
You hope it never happens.
Yep. So after about 2 months of being in the tower, they had an opening on death row. Well, I paid more. I paid a whole lot more money. So I talked to the warden.
Interesting.
And I said, "You got an opening? Can I go there?" And he's like, "I don't know." He said, "Normally that's for the people that have been in the system for a while. They get first dibs." I said, "Well, I wouldn't mind going. I need the money." So it worked out. Nobody wanted it, so I went to work on death row. And I had 59 death row inmates that I had to babysit. We had some people in there that required 6 guards to escort them to medical or anywhere else that they had to go. So we had some real bad apples in there, and so I did that for a year at the prison. And Kohler, my buddy Wendell, he called me and he said, "Hey, I know why you moved there, but I'd really love to have you back." And I said, "Well, I don't want to be an operator the rest of my life, Wendell." I said, "Eventually I'm going to get old." I said, "I'll come back if you help me." And he said, "Well, what do you mean if I help you? I'm offering you a job to come back." I said, "I want to learn every aspect of that plant. I want to know everything. You get something that someone needs to train in. I want to do it. I want to grow for me and for my family." So I went back, moved back to Alabama, went back to work at Kohler, and it was just like everything getting thrown on top of me. "Hey, I need you to go learn this. Hey, I need you to go learn this." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
the jack of all trades that don't know jack.
"Yeah." And so I'm like, "Oh,
Until
yeah." So, I started training in different departments: the receiving department, the shipping department, the place where we made the material. And I actually, the way Kohler does their pay scale is you reach a certain pay scale and you're topped out. There's no more raises other than just your annual percentage raise. That's it. Cost of living, 2%. And so I
cost of
went,
living
yep,
2%. Okay.
yep. Yeah, right. So I went to the plant manager and I said, "Hey, I guess I'm gonna have to go try to find me something else to do." They said, "Why?" I said, "Because I've topped out. You've got supervisors been here 12 years and aren't making what I'm making, but you pay based on my output." And I said, "And that's all great." I said, "But now I'm topped out." He said, "Well, what do you think about maintenance?" I said, "I don't know nothing about maintenance. I mean, I don't know nothing about these machines." He said, "But I think you'd be a good maintenance supervisor."
That's where the value is,
Yeah.
really.
So I went as maintenance supervisor for maybe a year and a half, and the maintenance manager quit. And the plant manager came up to me and he said, "Hey, I want you to go online and buy that guys, but I don't know all the aspects." I said, "I've been working with the guys, but I don't know the whole system." He said, "You'll get it. I ain't worried
Yeah.
about it."
Process PM.
Yep. So I went into the maintenance manager position, and boy, a lot of changes. Did a lot of changes, a whole lot. And then after we did that, the the production operations guy came open, and I applied for that, and then that's where I finished up my career there. But I lead back to childhood, and the prison has probably taught me more in life about people than 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 anything else could ever do. I
Yeah, let's go back to prison.
okay.
All right. What was your scariest moment on death row?
So the scariest moment on death row, I got in trouble. So
Oh,
I had an orderly inmate. So at 11 o'clock at night, we let the orderlies out to clean the dorm area. You also have what they call a gate guard. The gate guard, like if I need to open up a cell, I holler to the gate guard to open up cell 10, whatever, and he'll mash the button and open it up because we are segregated from everybody else that's in the main hall. So he was leaned up against the fencing coming into my dorm, and my orderly, apparently, he had done something to the orderly on my bin. The orderly reached through the cage, put his arm around his throat, and was pulling him off the ground, choking him. Now, protocol, you never approach an inmate by yourself. You call for backup and you wait for backup. This guy was fixing to die. The security guard
so
was
you had
fixing.
to break a rule?
Yeah. So I go into where he's at. I grab a hold of the inmate, and of course, I've earned his respect, so he listens to me. And I'm like, "Dude, you don't want this." I know you've already got life, but you don't want this. You're going to go to the hole for 6 months.
What's the hole?
So that's solitary confinement. It is no daylight, no nothing. We feed you, we get you a shower once a day. That's it.
Make you crazy hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he let go of the guard. Of course, the guard filed a report. We have to do all the paperwork. And the next day, I get to work, and my CO meets me at the dorm, and he says, "I need you to sign this piece of paper." I said, "What is it?" He said, "Well, you went against the rules." I said, "I saved this guy's life. This guy was going to be dead by the time anybody came over here. We're so short staffed. By the time they got here, he'd have been choked out." I said, "So you know what? If getting in trouble for saving a guy's life is what it is, and that's what it is, I'll sign your piece of paper." I said, "But I hope that the gentleman that almost died appreciates what I did for him." And so, that was one of the scariest, but I'm going to tell you the sickest thing that I ever saw.
Oh, here we go. Buckle
This,
up.
so we had a child molester, and they always go into protective custody because
Unfortunate.
an inmate will kill them because 90% of your inmates do not agree with abuse of women and children. They are very protective of women and children. So when we escorted a PC inmate, we would call the gate guard and say, "Hey, clear the dorm. We're coming through with a PC." So when that process is they make sure all the inmates are in their cells, they're locked, everything's good. Well, the guard did not check to make sure everybody was in their cells. So I am escorting this inmate through to carry him to the doctor. An inmate jumps out from behind the couch with an ink pen, puts it underneath this guy's eye, and pops his eyeball out. And it was like, holy crap, you seeing all this. This is like a movie. It's almost like something you would see on a prison movie. And after he did it, he took the ink pen and he laid it down on the couch and he put his hands behind his back. He said, "I know that I just got an extra year or two on my life sentence." He said, "But what he did, he should be dead. And that's all I wanted to do." And I mean, but they know the outcome when they get caught, even in the prison system, what it's
Yeah.
going to
Death
happen.
row. There's no
Yeah,
positive
there's no future. There's no chance of parole.
thing.
There's no getting out on the outside.
Yeah. Risk. Taking every single risk that you can in that situation as a death row
Yeah.
inmate.
So, and
Um,
we had a couple of lockdowns that we had to do when there was a women's prison that was probably 10 miles up the road, and they were bad about escaping. So whenever there was an escapee, you have to lock them down, and of course you got to hoard these men into their shit, into their cells, and it don't affect us. It's protocol. You got to go. You got to go. So
um, Based off of protocol, were there any other non-protocol things that you had to manage through that?
well, you know, the inmates were bad about making homemade wine, which I have. Whenever they would leave the chow hall, they had to be frisked for fruit and bread. So the fire extinguishers that were along the hall were all water. And if you put bread in there, the yeast turns to alcohol after it sits. And then they put fruit in there for flavor. So if you ever seen an inmate walking through the dorm drunk, we had to go check every single fire extinguisher in that dorm
See
area
if
to
it
make
was extinguished.
right. So, but it's just I would encourage there's a lot of prisons that I don't know about now, but tours. I would encourage anybody to see if they could go take a tour and actually just sit and talk to some of these guys and listen to their story because they love to tell their story.
Yeah.
There, there is so much.
If you've got any that want to share it that have gotten out, I'm interested in getting them
Yeah,
on here. So
it's just it's amazing. I've got. Uh, did you see that when I was at Dr Pepper, that Alabama football that I used to keep on the refrigerator?
I think so.
That was made by an inmate. That was made out of gourds, two gourds. He put two gourds together, and he made that for me. And I tell you what, there is so much hidden talent in the prison system that they could be out doing something great with their life, but they chose to take the wrong road.
Yeah,
So much hidden talent. So,
true. Awesome. We'll keep moving. Um, how would you describe your overall, Cure
what was
Dr.
that?
Pepper experience?
You broke up there. What did you say?
How would you describe your overall KDP experience?
Wow. Can you say good and bad?
Yeah, good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
So a lot of good, a lot of good. Like I said, the people were great. Uh, we had some employee issues, but we got a lot of that worked out. Uh, some some people I didn't get along with very well in upper management. Not you, of course, but different people in different parts of management. Arrogance is something I can't get along with arrogance. Anybody that acts like they are better than myself or any one of them on the floor, I can't get along with that. And we had one individual there that was very, very arrogant, and I would deal with it because you had to, and I'd bitch about it when I got home. So,
yeah,
but
I remember.
uh, but in all reality, the learning, uh, the people to work with, the maintenance guys, a couple of the maintenance guys were great to hang out with. We went and played golf. Neil and just
Skaggs, maybe.
yeah, Skaggs was a great guy. Uh, yeah, we'd go. Neil was fun to play golf with. Man, he was a nut to go play golf with, but
Yeah,
he's a great guy, great kid. And
awesome.
then Richard, of course, he was just Richard. It's so undamn predictable. You didn't know what he was going to do from one minute to the next. So
I'll say this about Richard is he was like you, like a really good go to when like something needed to be done. He
yeah,
always kind of made it happen. So
yeah,
that's why y'all hit it off.
yeah.
Um,
It's good that him and I still talk. You often wonder when you separate like that, is the friendship going to last, or was it just a work friendship? And it's just like my birthday. He texted me. He said, "Happy birthday, you old ass." And it's like, okay, and it's he came down to visit me last year. Brought his camper down and stayed for a week and
thanks.
hung. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
good.
kind of goes back to the whole podcast theme of shared suffering, shared sacrifice, and the bonds that you build during those times. Sounds like it's still going on, so that's a good thing.
Yep.
Um, you've had a lot of different work experiences. Is there one that stands out to you as the favorite throughout your career?
Uh, not really. And I guess it, they were all pretty much the same. Honestly, it's what you make of it. So I go in. I think I told you in my interview. One of your questions was, "What is your biggest fear?" And my biggest fear is failure. So if I feel like I'm failing, then I'm not doing the company any justice. But I think that any place that I've worked, I think that I have brought togetherness from people, which is something that you got to have. You know,
Yeah, well,
I enjoy I enjoy the camaraderie of different lifestyles. I can tell you I was terrified one day down there at Dr. Pepper
Oh,
because I don't know if you remember the gentleman that was. I just got back from vacation and they hired him and he was dancing up on the pelletizer for line 4,
yeah, I do.
or and and then I escorted him out of the building, and the next thing I know, I get a phone call. He's out dancing on cars and everything else, and this guy was a wild child. But when the third shift crew heard that he was out there still, the leads came out, and so it was what was his name?
Was it Dante at the
Big
time?
Dante, yeah,
He's
Dante,
now a
and
supervisor.
really,
Yep.
well, that's good. That's good. But Dante came out there and bam, and they were like, "It's all good, Jimbo. He ain't coming over here. We ain't gonna let him come over here."
Nice.
And we called the cops, and and that was the same way it was at Kohler when I would escort somebody out. I had a group of guys that they all called me daddy, and you have to escort them to the parking lot, and they would all follow behind because that's respect that you earned from these
Shamrock.
people. They're
Yep.
they're not doing it because, oh, he's our boss. They're doing it because there's a friendship, and they know that the friendship is work related friendship, but it's also outside the plant. We could probably still talk to this guy, and he's going to be cool with us. So I would say Kohler and Dr. Pepper were the two places I've worked where I've built a good bond with the employees, to where good enough that I felt like if I called them and said, "Hey, I need something," they would be there. There's still guys at Dr. Pepper on third shift that still text me and say, "Hey, what are you doing, old man?" I'll be on my way home from work and they'll
Like
text.
who?
CJ,
Okay.
Chad,
Yeah.
uh, CJ and Chad, they'll text me about once a month. Bam, even though I know Bam's not there anymore, but they text me about once a month to say, "Hey, what are you doing, old man?" And so we'll
Nice.
back and forth for about an hour. So
That's good stuff.
yeah, good
That's
folks,
that's the that's the reward, really.
yeah.
I think. Cool. Mentor. You have a best mentor?
Uh, I would say as far as mentors, I would lead that all the way back to probably Kohler, Wendell Wilbanks, that gave me that ultimate chance to come
Nice.
back. Like I said, he grew up there. He started there when he was 17 years old and retired at 62. So 40 some whatever years is he was an old head, and it was actually his job that I took when he retired. So, but
Good stuff.
he was the type of person, and you were too. But he was the type of person. If you're messing up, he's not going to make a blasted scene in front of people. He's going to say, "Hey, come in here, let's talk." And then he'd shut the door and he'd say, "This is what you're doing wrong. I can help you fix it, but this is what you're doing wrong, and you need to straighten this out. And let's work on this and get it squared away, and lead you in the right direction so you can be successful."
Awesome.
So I'd say Wendell was he's my hero.
Good stuff. All right. We haven't talked a lot about the loss of your daughter yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I remember the phone call. Um, I remember telling you, like, hey, do whatever you got to do. What advice do you have to others that may have lost a child um, during that time period or even today?
Well, I will tell you this: people tell you it gets better over time. Bullshit. Uh, that's your kid. That's your baby. It get better over time. The only advice, I've had a couple of friends that have lost their children since, and I simply tell them, I know how it affected me. I kind of know what you're going through. I'm here if you need someone to talk to. I can't give you that. I can't make it better, but and you got to remember the good things and the fun. Uh, my youngest daughter sent me a bunch of TikTok videos that her and Samantha did together when COVID was going on. They both had to quarantine, and they quarantined together. And so you go back and you watch the TikTok videos and the fun. You you remember all the fun times that you had. You know, my wife and I'll sit there and just watch these videos sometimes, and it hurts, but it makes you smile. And I know full well when she passed, she was in the happiest moment of her life because she found somebody that took care of her. Even though they'd only been married 2 weeks, you could tell by the video that she was happy. And that's all you want as a parent, is for your kids to be happy. And that was the happiest I had seen her in 30 years. So I knew that when she passed, it's good. She was happy. But you got to remember, there's no more pain, no more hurt for them. Whatever they were going through in their life that they keep from their parents, it's all gone. So, and I still believe that she comes to visit us. I'm going to
Yeah,
send you.
I remember the story that um, I think you shared in your office, maybe.
Yeah. So the day I spread her ashes, I spread them on Father's Day, and it was the last time that her and I were going to be together. So I spread them on Father's Day down here in Alabama at the lake. She loved it down here. But the day I was spreading her ashes, uh, the third shift crew, those offices are on sensors. If someone's walking, they don't come on unless someone walks in front of them. They said that the office light came on throughout the night, and then they noticed a figure get up from my desk and walk towards the wall. That's I know her presence is around, and I'm going to send you a picture. I'll get it. My oldest daughter, we had a baby shower for her, and we had it at the church. There was my stepdaughter took a picture, two pictures back to back of my wife, her best friend, my daughter, and her fiance. The first picture is plain. The second picture has an orb going across the top, and it's plain as day. Uh, my son-in-law's mom, we did it at their church. She carried that picture to the preacher and said, "Hey, what do you get from this?" And showed him both pictures, and he said, "That looks like an orb," which is, a ghostly person was there. And so I honestly believe that she comes and visits through time to time. I still talk to her. You have to keep, even though they're past, you got to understand they're listening to you. And and I honestly think that the relationship that Sam and I still have, it's every day when I say my prayers at night, I tell the good Lord to watch over her like she was still down here on earth. So it's just one thing that you have to deal with a couple of times a year. Holidays, no more Father's Days, no more Happy Birthday, Daddy, no more Christmas. Stuff like that makes it tough. You know, you go 30, I wouldn't say 31 years because the first year they're not talking, but you go 30 years of Happy Birthday, Daddy, love you. It's gone. So,
All right. Uh, let's switch subjects. Sound good?
yep.
Your biggest current struggle today while you're drinking that Mountain Dew,
Gotta
like you
wet.
used to do.
Yeah, I used to keep it in a cup. But biggest struggle, biggest struggle. I think my biggest struggle right now is time management. Honestly, for my family, uh, I, I'm too busy trying to help everybody else and working that I don't take enough time, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it by keeping everybody happy. Uh, it's just I don't know. If someone calls me and says, "Hey, I need some help with this," I go do it, and I don't worry about the fact that, hey, you just got home from work at 3 o'clock this morning, and here it is 7 o'clock, and you're getting up out of bed, go help somebody do something. Then you got to be back at work at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and work till 2 in the morning.
What's your price of admission?
Wow. So it's a daily struggle everywhere, in especially today's society. Uh, you just gotta. I've got 5 years left to work, and I've got to do all I can financially, which it's just bust ass every day to succeed and get everything lined up for uh, that final day. You know, August 16th, 2029 is my last day of working for a company. I'll piddle with something, but I feel that my price of admission has been the lifelong struggles of being out on the street, not knowing what I was going to be able, if I was even going to be able to make it. It's people like you, Wendell, that gave me the opportunity to prove myself. I know that I'm a good supervisor. I know that I work hard at everything I do, and I give 110, 120%. But there comes a time when you've got to take care of you. If I could ever learn to say no, I'm not going to help you, it'd probably be better off. But I can't do that. I've
Yeah, there's a little bit of that in time management,
it's
unfortunately.
I like to help everybody possible. And Denise gets upset with me quite a bit. She'll be like, "You haven't had no sleep. You've been up 20 hours." But this little old lady that lives in the campground, she's got no water. I've got to go help her. And it, sometimes you can just be too damn nice, but I don't want to be.
Come
I,
on.
I guess I feel that I have to be nice because of how I grew up. I grew up in a shitty world. The timeline was great. The 80s were great. But back then, if there was no such thing as child abuse back then, I can tell you January 1st, 1982, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I woke up laying in the middle of the dining room floor because I got knocked out by my stepfather and had no clue where I was, what happened. But they all went and partied, and I was laying there unconscious for however long because he hit me in the head in the temple and knocked me out cold. That's the type of life that I grew up, and I want to make sure that people in this world that if they have that issue, they can come to me and talk to me. I'll help you 100%. But I'm afraid that if someone goes without something like I did, even if they're older than I am, that's wrong. Nobody should have to go without anything. If I've got $1 and you need 79 cents, I'm gonna give you 79 cents. I'll worry about me later. I can go make another dollar somewhere. It's just society today is so shitty compared to what it was way back when. You could go to your neighbor's house and get a glass of milk and cookies when you were a kid. Nowadays, you,
Very, very selfish.
yeah, I mean, this whole world has turned into just chaos. So uh, I want to make sure that my grandson that was just born, I think he's 5 months old now. I want to make sure that he and my other three grandchildren have the perfect life. So I'm putting myself out on the edge to make sure that they have what they need. You know, my daughter says, "Daddy, I ain't, we just don't have this." Okay, well, I'm gonna make sure you got it. If I have to go pull 15 campers next week to get you some extra cash, then that's what I'll do because he will not go without. You kids didn't go without. I'm not going to let them go without either. If I have to do whatever it is I have to do to make sure that he has the care he needs, he'll have it. And you can bet your dollar that when Poppy dies, at least they'll remember, hey, Poppy sent us a card every year at Christmas, birthday. We needed something for school. He took care of us. And that's what I want to go down as the person that everybody says he was a hell of a guy.
And there's no doubt that people will say that. So, no doubt in my mind. Uh, so what's next? What's next for you? What's
Well,
the 5 year goal? I mean, you talked about retirement, but
yeah. So I talked to my financial advisor at Edward Jones. Matter of fact, 2 days ago. I've had an account with them for since 1989, and of course, with the market, you've everybody's lost money. But they were just doing just casual marketing. But with the 5 years, I called him and I told him I need to go aggressive with my money. So yeah, we're planning on. I've got a pension from Kohler that I can draw when I'm 61. So pull that, and then I'm just gonna piddle around at the campground, work security or something like that. Denise still has to
nice.
work a couple of years because she's young. She's only 52 years old, so she's got to work until. So I said, you can cover my insurance. I'll be good there. And then
I'm working
once she,
through the same thing right now.
yeah,
Actually, my wife just went back to teaching. So,
yeah. But once she retires, we're going to travel. We full time RVers. We love the lifestyle. It's you want to go on vacation. Everything you need is in your camper. You just back up, hook
I
up, and go.
I skipped one of my questions. Was what do you like about the RV life?
The relationship.
Okay,
So I know you live in a neighborhood, and we did before we went full time RVing. I like to talk. I like to be around people. So when I'd come home from work and we had the house, the neighbors would come home. They'd pull the car in the garage. They'd shut the garage door, and unless they were cutting their grass, you didn't see them. At a campground, you see somebody every day. If you need something, you can call anybody and they'll come help you. Uh, Here's a for instance story. I was at work at Nissan and I had to leave at 2 in the morning every morning to go to work. Denise called me and said, "Hey, it had been raining a lot." She said, "I backed out and I got the car stuck." I said, "Well, hell, I'm an hour and a half away." So I called one of the maintenance guys at the campground and I said, "Hey, Denise's car stuck. I know it's early. No problem." He went and got the tractor, pulled her car out. Off to work she went, and it was pouring down rain, and this guy's out there doing it with no worries at all.
nice.
That's that is the camping lifestyle. You know, everybody knows you. My wife and I actually got king and queen for Valentine's. We are the year king and queen Valentines for the campground. So, they have this
Nice.
big. Everybody votes on who they want, and this is a campground that has, when it's full, 400 campers. Now, that's the respect that that I have gotten and my wife have gotten from the people that at the campground, that many people would vote for you to be the king and queen because of the respect that they have for us.
Yeah. Kind
You
of
know,
kind of starts at home, right?
yeah, they've got their own little Facebook page, and Denise is funny because there's three old women. She calls them my pimps, but it's because if someone says, "Hey, I need this done. Do you have any idea who can do it?" And the first thing they'll do is they'll put Jimbo Bottomley, and then I start getting messages from people, "Hey, I said you could do this. Can you come and look at it?" And so Denise is like, "They just pimp you out."
Yeah, you're sounds like you're definitely busy and ties into your biggest current struggle.
It
So
does. It does. But I did make her a promise that tomorrow I ain't doing nothing. Me and her are
awesome.
gonna we're gonna do whatever she wants to do this weekend. Uh, we do have to go see. My father-in-law lived in Florida, and I had to move him to Alabama in a nursing home. He they put him in a nursing home last year, and it was a struggle. Every other weekend, I was driving to Tallahassee, Florida.
What for age? Alzheimer's?
No, actually, he's very weedy. He lost all circulation in his legs, so he
Okay,
can't take care of himself.
gotcha.
So we had him in a nursing home in Florida, and like I said, every other weekend I'd get off work Friday night at 10 o'clock, and I was up at 6 o'clock Saturday morning. I was driving 8 hours to Tallahassee, Florida, getting stuff done. Turn around Sunday, come back home, and he told us, he said, "I want to come to Alabama. I want to be there with y'all." I'm like, okay. So I told he's a big Auburn fan.
Oh,
He
oh no,
Yeah, he graduated from Auburn. He got 3 degrees at Auburn. So
goodness.
and I told him, I said, well, the only way you can come to Alabama is if you promise me you'll wear an Alabama hat. And he's like, hell no, I ain't doing that. But it's the nursing home we put him in, it's a privately owned, and the owner is a diehard Alabama fan. So on the walls in the whole nursing home is
You
nothing
made it
but
happen.
Alabama pictures, and he's like, Jesus, criminy, I got to deal with this Alabama shit all the time. But
Yeah, it's probably keeping his heart pumping.
yeah,
So
but he's 20 minutes away versus 8 hours. So if he needs something, I can stop on my way to work. It's good. And
awesome,
Denise needed him being here.
cool. Well, I think this is it. It's wrap up time. Obviously, tell Denise thank you.
I will.
Um, I think she was actually the one that gave me that call that one day.
Yeah.
Um, but and really appreciated like everything that you've done, taught me, and good convo tonight.
Well,
So
I appreciate it was a fun experience. I tell you, I was nervous, but then Rebecca sent me a text and she said, I think it'll be interesting to hear you and Tony talk. I bet there'll be some bullshit going on.
I'm trying to keep the BS on the down low right now as as I'm searching,
Right.
uh, but nothing but good value out of this conversation for
Yeah.
sure. And
So yeah. I told
so
my I was doing this tonight. I said, now if you want me to, I'll go off premises. She said, no, just go in the conference room. You got your phone with you. You're good. You're good. And so
yeah, you're at work right now.
yeah, I'm at work. I got another 3 hours and I can go home. So
It's uh, you must have good leads. You must
well,
have built a good team.
yeah. So that's the thing. I can actually do a lot of office work and stuff to help keep the business side going and not worry, because these guys have really they've come a long way. Like I said, we've tripled production, and I'm not going to say that I take all the credit, but damn it, I'll take at least 50% of it.
That's a beautiful thing. You are on your way for the next 5 years or whatever. You got a lot to be proud of. So, all right, have a
Well,
good day, I
I,
guess, as you
I,
close out the shift.
yep, I appreciate it, my man. It's good talking to you.
Likewise.